Have you ever heard of someone who chose solitude as their greatest ally in the quest for perfection? It might sound crazy to many, but Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary samurai, did exactly that. In a world that values connection and noise, Musashi took the opposite path. He withdrew, embraced solitude, and built an unparalleled legacy. Is there a hidden power in solitude that most of us fail to see? In today's video, we're going to explore how the way of walking alone turned Musashi into a living legend and how you can use these principles to achieve mastery in your own life. Get ready for an intense journey through the samurai philosophy, where inner strength and self-reflection are the most powerful weapons. And what if I told you that Musashi's secrets could help you face your greatest challenges? Let's find out together. Topic 1. The fascination of solitude. Have you ever felt completely alone, but at the same time stronger and more aware than ever before? That was the question I asked myself when I first read about Miyamoto Musashi and his famous concept of dokudo, the way of walking alone. The life of this legendary samurai is living proof that there is power in solitude. While many of us fear being alone, Musashi embraced it, making it his ally in the relentless pursuit of self-mastery. Imagine living in a world where your only company is your own mind, forcing you to confront every fear, every weakness, without excuses. This is not for everyone, but Musashi turned this practice into his life philosophy. How many of us are truly capable of facing our inner demons without fleeing or distracting ourselves? Contrary to what many believe, solitude does not mean social isolation or complete withdrawal from the world. In fact, it is an invitation to deep self-knowledge. Musashi spent much of his life away from society, but he was never alone in the negative sense of the word. He found in solitude a space to develop his skills as a warrior, and more importantly, as a human being. This constant practice of self-reflection allowed him to shape not only his combat technique but also his life principles. The relentless pursuit of perfection was a battle fought within himself. It seems contradictory, but it is in this walking alone that Musashi found his true strength. However, don't think Musashi would recommend this path for everyone. Solitude, when misunderstood, can lead to stagnation and even despair, but when used as a tool for growth, it transforms into a bridge for personal development and self-improvement. Musashi teaches us that solitude is not something to be feared, but an opportunity to discover our true essence and develop a deep understanding of who we really are. It's about becoming our own best companion and, in the process, discovering an inner power that depends on nothing but ourselves. Topic 2. The samurai philosophy and Musashi's path. As I delved into the samurai philosophy, I was struck by how much it goes beyond mere skill with the sword. It's a true code of life. And Miyamoto Musashi was one of the greatest examples of this philosophy in action. For him, the real battle didn't happen just on the battlefield, but in the mind. Musashi believed that to defeat any opponent you must first defeat yourself. And this is where the concept of dokudo comes in, understanding that the greatest challenge is to internalize the idea that every step, every decision, depends solely on us. What fascinates me is how he applied these principles to every aspect of his life, seeking an indomitable state of mind. During his years of wandering, Musashi not only faced dozens of duels, where he was never defeated, but also sought to understand the essence of each of his opponents. For him, combat was a dance, a silent dialogue, where understanding the other began with understanding oneself. He wrote in his famous book, The Book of Five Rings, that the way of the warrior is, above all, the way of self-knowledge. It's not just about technique, but about mastering your own mind and spirit. How often do we fail to achieve our goals because we cannot master our own thoughts and emotions? Musashi shows us that to reach true mastery, we must be willing to strip away all illusions and face reality with brutal honesty. What's fascinating is that Musashi didn't limit himself to the sword. He became a master in the arts of calligraphy, painting, and sculpture, demonstrating that the samurai philosophy is holistic. It doesn't matter if we're talking about a physical battle or a daily task. The secret lies in doing everything with the same focus and dedication. He teaches us that the way of walking alone is, in fact, the way of becoming complete, of embracing all facets of being. This makes us question, are we truly putting our heart and mind into everything we do, or are we just going through the motions? Musashi never allowed himself to be just a good warrior. He sought excellence in every aspect of life, and that's something we can all learn and apply. Topic 3. Self-mastery and the path to excellence. When we talk about self-mastery, few figures in history illustrate this concept as intensely as Miyamoto Musashi. He lived in relentless pursuit of mastery, not just as a swordsman, but as a human being. For Musashi, the true victory was the one achieved over oneself, and the only way to achieve it was through discipline and continuous practice. He used to say that to master any art, you must live as if every day is a battlefield. It doesn't matter if you're practicing a sword technique or trying to improve in any other area. The dedication and commitment must be total. I wonder how often we sabotage ourselves because we're not willing to put our all into something. Musashi didn't believe in shortcuts. His journey was marked by moments of extreme difficulty and solitude, but he never strayed from his purpose. He understood that true evolution comes from confronting our limitations, and every obstacle overcome was an opportunity for growth. A classic example is when he faced his greatest rival, Sasaki Kojiro, in a legendary duel. He knew he couldn't defeat Kojiro with mere technical skill. He had to overcome his own anxiety and fear. Musashi won because he mastered himself before mastering his opponent. This is a powerful reminder for all of us. No matter the size of the challenge, ahead the key is in mastering our own fears and insecurities, but don't think that Musashi became complacent after achieving mastery. On the contrary, he continued to explore new paths, studying different disciplines, and always seeking to reinvent himself. He knew that the true warrior is one who never stops learning. And here's the secret. Self-mastery is not a destination, but a continuous process. Musashi teaches us that true mastery lies not in being satisfied with what we've achieved, but in continuing to move forward. Even when it seems there are no more steps to climb, how many of us are willing to follow this path, not letting challenges and inevitable failures defeat us? Topic 4. The value of self-reflection. Miyamoto Musashi believed that the constant practice of self-reflection was fundamental to personal development. He teaches us that before facing any opponent, we must face ourselves, and this is only possible when we have the courage to look deeply within and question our own actions, thoughts, and decisions. I wonder how many times we avoid this kind of introspection out of fear of what we might find. Musashi made this a habit, a daily routine of analysis and evaluation. He understood that to truly evolve, it is necessary to recognize both our strengths and weaknesses without excuses or disguises. During his long periods of solitude, Musashi dedicated himself not only to technical improvement, but also to meditation and contemplation. He believed that the mind must be sharpened just as much as the sword. For him, the real battle was internal, and the only way to win it was through mental clarity and self-awareness. Musashi used solitude as a tool to sharpen his perception and understand what really mattered in his life. And believe me, this practice is something we can all adopt. As he himself said, "Know your enemy and know yourself, and you will be victorious in 1,000 battles." But how can we truly know ourselves if we don't take the time to reflect on our own lives? The interesting thing is that Musashi didn't limit this practice of self-reflection to the end of the day or moments of tranquility. He analyzed every duel, every interaction, every thought. It was a constant review of himself, always seeking to improve. He knew that growth doesn't happen only when we are in action, but also when we have the courage to stop and question our own motivations. How often do we fail to reflect on our actions due to sheer haste or neglect? Musashi shows us that true strength comes from the ability to evaluate ourselves honestly, and from that, transform ourselves. And this transformation begins with the simple yet profound act of self-reflection. Topic 5. Musashi's life principles. Miyamoto Musashi's life principles, summarized in his writings like Dokodo, The Way of Walking Alone, are a true compass for anyone seeking to live with purpose and authenticity. One of his most impactful teachings is, accept everything just as it is. It sounds simple, but how often do we resist circumstances we can't change, wasting energy on things beyond our control? Musashi invites us to accept reality as it is, without illusions, and from that point, focus our strength on what we can truly transform. He lived a life where each principle was applied rigorously, showing that a true warrior is not only the one who fights on the battlefield, but also the one who lives according to their values in every situation. Another principle that always makes me reflect is, do not seek pleasure for pleasure's sake. In a world that constantly offers us distractions and instant rewards, this lesson is more relevant than ever. Musashi understood that true contentment comes from a life lived with purpose, not from fleeting pleasures. He dedicated his existence to a path of self-mastery, prioritizing personal development and the pursuit of excellence in every area he touched. For him, living according to solid principles was more important than any momentary satisfaction. This makes us think, how often do we sacrifice our long-term growth for immediate gratification? Moreover, Musashi taught the importance of not being attached to material things, and of keeping a clear and detached mind. He wrote, do not have preferences in anything. It's not about being apathetic or indifferent, but about avoiding personal desires that cloud our judgment and lead us away from our higher goals. Musashi knew that to maintain discipline and focus, it was necessary to control one's own passions and ambitions. He lived simply, with few possessions, focused on his life's mission. His principles weren't just beautiful phrases on paper, but practical guides that shaped every decision he made. And this leaves us with a powerful reflection. Are we living according to our own principles, or are we letting circumstances determine our path? Conclusion. So, after diving deep into the mind and life of Miyamoto Musashi, one question remains. Are you ready to face your own path of solitude and self-mastery? It's not about isolating yourself from the world, but about finding the strength to walk alone when necessary, to reflect deeply, and to constantly push your boundaries. Are you willing to adopt these principles and see where they lead you? If you've been inspired by Musashi's story and feel that these teachings resonate with your own life, don't hesitate to take action. Remember, the greatest battles are fought within ourselves. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join me as we continue to explore the wisdom of history's greatest minds. Let's unlock the potential of our own paths together.